G'day, welcome back. Good to have you here. Oh, some new people. Good to see you. Today we are grading Pearl Medaka. In Australia, there's a number of different names for these fish, or names for fish that look like these fish. Even I've seen some fish labelled as platinum, which look like what I call pearl. Now, when I first got my stock, I think from 3 different shops, they were labelled Pearl, Pearl Galaxy and White. At the moment, I'm calling them Pearl, but I'm selecting for the future to be able to call them Pearl Galaxy, and I'll get into what I mean by that. Now, first thing when grading Medaka, grading any fish, any animal, health. Always grade for health. It is a bit of a thing in the ornamental fish trade that sometimes they will grade for characteristics, not health first, and that has led to some lines of fish, well, becoming unhealthy, because if you select for unhealthy fish, that's what you get, no matter how pretty they are. So, health first. And when I'm talking about, I'm going to do another video on health so I can refer to that, of what I mean by health. So every time I say health, I just go back to that video. These are, I'm selecting for broodstock. So one of the things I'm selecting for is that, they can produce eggs. So these are fish that I've been growing out. So here I've had some that I've pulled out to have a closer look at. These shallow dishes are really good because they let the sun in, so you can see them better. Whereas more of a bowl dish, they're all in shade. One of the key things I'm after is I want bright blue eyes. So you see this one there? That's bright blue eyes. Whereas some of these, the eyes aren't, well, they look blue on the camera, but they're not as obvious in real life. So this is a good candidate. I'm also after a pinkish cast just behind the eyes in the head. Now, some of them, this is quite orange, but I want pink. I do not want orange. So any that have got an orange head, I'm culling and not including for breeding. Whereas, see this one here, that train's being a bit annoying going past. See, that's got a really nice pink head, really bright blue eyes. I'm after an overall white appearance for the rest of the body, but it seems that the Shinju or the Pearl Medaka, it's like their scales and even their skin is transparent, the semi-transparent, and this can sometimes lead to a bit of a blue cast around the abdomen, because what you're doing is you're seeing through the scales, through the skin, and to the external lining of the abdominal cavity, which has got this blue coloration. It's subtle, but it's just it's another thing that gives a bit more coloration. And this one here, I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to get it on camera. Let me try and change lenses. Focus. Now, do you see those speckles on its flank there, and a little bit on the tail? And see that rim of colour on the end of the fins, and that tail also has some speckles in the tail. Now, it's not much, it's only a little bit, but that is lame. So that fish, especially because she's got eggs, is definitely going in the breeding group. And it's by selecting for those lame characteristics and those little highlights on the fins, when I can start producing fish that have got those, where you don't have to really study them to see it, it's obvious, that's when I'll start calling these fish Pearl Galaxy. Yes, I know, it's a long-term goal. At the moment they're pearls, but maybe by the end of this season, if I can get enough generations through, we'll be able to start calling them Pearl Galaxy. I think it's going to be something for next year, though. Yeah. And that's it. That's how I grade for pearls. Blue eyes, pink head, white body, and as many speckles as possible. Hope you find this useful. I'll catch you later. Something I should have mentioned in the last How to Grade video I did, the Kagani Gold, is that in this video I'm selecting fish for broodstock, and these are fish that I've pulled out from the others as I've been sorting them and getting them ready to be shipped out for sale. So they've already gone through a selection process. If you go to your local fish shop and you're buying Medaka, then you're going to see a lot more variation and a lot more fish that aren't going to follow these guidelines as closely as the fish that you saw in the first part of the video. If you look at these fish, Now these are fish that I've pulled from one of my tubs where the fish are waiting to get counted and bagged up and shipped out for sale. You can see that there's a lot more variation in the colours. A lot of the bodies are a bit more pinker, some of the heads are a bit more orange, there's a few eyes that are white or not as blue. They're still beautiful fish, but they don't as closely meet the guidelines for the variety. If you go to your local fish shop and you buy Pearl Medaka, like basic Pearl Medaka, then this is what you're going to get. Now that's not to say that some of the fish won't be high grade Medaka, but they're basic Medaka. They haven't been finely sorted. In Japan, if there's someone just wants a few kids for the pond to keep the mosquitoes under control or keep the kids happy, then they just buy fish that look pretty. But there is a culture of being very specific for fish that meet particular grades, and people pay more for those fish. And we don't do that here in Australia, at least not in the Medaka community, but we do it in the goldfish community, where people are willing to pay hundreds, if not $1,000 or more for goldfish that really highly meet the grade. It's something I would like to encourage more from Medaka here in Australia. But anyway, that's it for now. I'll catch you guys later.